Everyone, and welcome to this December edition of our monthly meetups organized by CLIQ-ai, the Computational Linguistics in Quebec Consortium. So my name is Fabien Ngô. I'll be your host today. I'm a programmer specialized in NLP working at the University of Montreal and also act as a counselor for Javvadi. So today, very lucky. The topic today is customer review mining and their general place in business analytics. We're going to have presentations from scientists working at Keatext, a Montreal-based company specialized in customer review mining. And we're very glad to welcome Mohsen Farhadloo, a assistant professor at the Molson School of Business, and also Tarik Qahawish, who's the founder and the CEO of the company Localyser. As always, I'm going to ask you to mute yourselves if you haven't done so already, so that we can enjoy the presentations distraction-free. Every talk is going to be followed by a 5 to 10 minute question period. So if you have any questions, you can write them down and then ask them during the QA session, or you can ask them in the chat if you wish. We're going to ask them to our presenters. You can ask your questions in French or English. It's not a problem. So I think we're ready to move on now to the first presentation. The first presentation is by Fabien Ngô, who's the lead scientist at Keatext. And he's going to present first, and then another scientist from Keatext, Samuel Beland-Leblanc, is going to show us a demonstration. So Fabien, I think you've already shared your screen. And if you're ready, then the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the
text. That's 3 persons if you're counting. And I think we're going to move on now to the second talk now, which is going to be presented by 2 persons. The first is Mohsen Farhadloo, who's assistant professor in supply chain and business technology management at the Molson School of Business at Concordia University. And we also welcome Gunin, Ruthwik, Javvadi, who's a master's student with Professor Farhadloo, who's going to present a part of a talk entitled Business Analytics for Management, Public Health and Policy, which is within the theme of this meetup, where we are interested in business analytics. Professor Farhadloo, if you want to share your screen.
Hi, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we see it, yes. You can go in full screen mode, and if you want.
So you see it's changing?
Yeah, it works.
Thank you, everybody, for inviting me. I would like to thank Dr. Mariam from Javvadi for inviting me to this meeting. And I would like to thank everybody for joining my talk. My name is Mohsen Farhadloo, and today I'm gonna briefly introduce my program of research, and then I will give the floor to Ruthwik to present some of his project that he's doing with me on understanding safety culture through natural language processing. The enabler of my research is the fact that data never sleep. This is kind of old 2017 nice piece of information that tells us all of us are contributing to generating huge amount of data every day. And it breaks down to different social media, mainly platforms that we are using. And this amount of data that we are contributing is one of the main enablers of my research. Every minute on the left, you can see we are generating around 450,000 tweets. For every minute, 46,000 Instagram photos are being shared. For every minute, 600 views on Wikipedia is being made. So, or on Google, 3.6 million searches are being done every minute. This data generation, or living in the big era data, is one of the main enabler of my research. So I try to use the ever-increasing user-generated data, develop analytical skills, analytical tools, and models, and then discover salient patterns and hopefully provide actionable insights for decision makers. This is the general of my research interest. And since joining Concordia, which I joined in 2019, this is my fourth nominal year, or second effective year if we do not count pandemic. I'm focused on using business analytics for business and management, public health, and public policy. In each one of these domains, I have some ongoing projects that I will give some examples of what I do. For instance, on let me go to the other one. So in the business and management side, one of the things that I do is to study the dynamic capabilities and the relationship between firms' resources, capabilities, innovation, and firm performance. These sort of work are mainly conceptual and theoretical, and they don't involve that much AI or machine learning. I'm trying to leverage natural language processing in them, but the majority of work so far in that literature is theoretical and conceptual. I also, in the public health domain, I'm trying to use social media data to study some public health outputs. For instance, during the pandemic, we were trying to use the Canadian officials' presence on social media to see how well they have been managing the COVID crisis. This has been done on Twitter by collecting the Canadian officials' communication on Twitter and analyzing them to find out how they have been able to use social media for crisis management, basically. Another work that I have been engaged in is, and again in the public health domain, studying the vaccine hesitancy, which is one of the global public health challenges even before COVID. We started this project before COVID, but then COVID hit, and then we were very lucky that this study was published during COVID, and it got a lot of attention because we were studying vaccine hesitancy by analyzing the publicly available data sets on vaccine adverse events and then showing the severity of those adverse events. And then we were able to link them to cognitive biases out there. And then depending on the type of students that we get in business school, sometimes I have the capacity to work on topics like biases of word embeddings and measuring those biases and so on. So I had to work on measuring biases of word embeddings and studying the impacts of different similarity measures and descriptive statistics on detecting the bias of word embedding techniques. Then coming to sentiment analysis, which was the main topic of the previous speakers, I have designed a Bayesian framework for studying customer satisfaction. And I can explain that. This is basically these figures that you see on the left. I have designed a framework for going from unstructured text data to some sort of semi-structured data using clustering and sentiment classification techniques. So with clustering and sentiment classification techniques, I'm able to transform a piece of review, which is unstructured, as Fabien explained very well, to a semi-structured data that looks like this. So for each review, I have the extracted aspects, and then I know the discovered sentiments about them. So I represent each review with basically a large vector of aspects and then the sentiments with them. And then I use that semi-structured vector to study the overall satisfaction. The overall satisfaction can be modeled by that overall rating that the reviewer gives to each review. We usually have that overall rating. So for that, we propose a Bayesian model that models the overall rating as a linear combination of the aspect ratings. And the aspect ratings were extracted from the sentiments of those aspects expressed in the review. So I, as a person who has worked on sentiment analysis, I can echo Fabien that this is a very challenging task. Although in NLP we have had a lot of progress and advancements these days, but sentiment analysis still is a very complex task, even for humans. So we need to hear more things about sentiment analysis in the future. And then the other thing that I have done is, this is in the public health domain, again, trying to show how social media data can be used as a complementary data source for public health monitoring. In this framework, I have used topic modeling, and in order to extract topic that have been discussed in online communication, and then I correlate them with some items within a national survey in the US. And we showed that what we extract from social media has a high correlation with what you survey from the community. So these are some examples of my work, but in terms of public health, I just want to mention that it's a very interdisciplinary and challenging task. In public health research, the main objective is to promote the human health. And human health is a multifaceted aspect. It includes physical, psychological, and social well-being. So the researchers who are doing public health, they are trying to promote each one of these aspects of human health. And it is multidisciplinary research. It involves community, academia, media, businesses, policymakers, and governments. So if you want to do successful and impactful public health research, you have to work in a multidisciplinary team, including all of those representatives. And in public health research, there are different types or streams of research in terms of assessing the public health or policy development and assessment, or assurance of the public health, how to make sure that the public health or the methods or policies are out there as we promised. My research is contributing in public health of in the monitoring and assessment stream by using social media data to complement the traditional health data. In public health, the traditional approaches for surveillance or assessment is using surveys and questionnaires. But survey and questionnaires are very expensive and they are not sometimes timely. They takes time to run the questionnaires, aggregate them, and so on. What I'm trying to provide evidence is to use social media data to complement those traditional techniques of surveillance. And then public policy is also the field of there are different views to public policy. Some people define public policy as a set of principles that govern actions, and some other people see as public policy as a web of decisions and actions together. So they also include actions. But we can combine them, and we define public policy as courses of actions, regulatory measures, laws, and regulations to address a real societal problem. So in that, in public policy, the researchers talk about the cycle of public policy, which has agenda setting, formulation, legitimation, implementation, and evaluation. My research contribute to the evaluation part of the public policy. So public policy has been set, and then I would like to use again the ever-increasing data on social media to evaluate the impact of those policies. One of the work that we have done in the public policy domain is basically study the impact of social media surveillance that Edward Snowden revealed that government has social media surveillance systems with the tech companies, and we wanted to see what are the impacts of these sort of surveillance on the user behaviors. And we showed that this sort of policies has chilling effect on the behavior of people when they are browsing the social media. And we also showed that it may also change the privacy concern of the people, because we have seen evidence that people, after the Edward Snowden revelation, people turned to privacy-preserving search engines that can be used instead of Google or Microsoft, Bing, or other non-privacy concerned search engines. So this was a brief introduction of my research program. Now I would like to give the floor to Ruthwik to talk about his research on safety culture understanding. And I would like to tell that this is an ongoing project and in early stages that we are conducting together.
Thank you, Professor Farhadloo. Hi.
Hi. This is Ruthwik, currently a first-year Batman student at John Molson School of Business. So first of all, I thank Professor Farhadloo and Javvadi for giving me this opportunity to present my project. And yeah, so my project is understanding safety culture through natural language processing and the aim of safety culture. So post-COVID research, post-COVID industry restart, the company wants to know how the safety culture can be improved in that particular company. So through this safety, implementing this particular safety concerns, they want to promote learning and understanding and continuous improvement of that organization. So this is the aim of safety culture. And for this, they have conducted a survey And the survey want to identify the safety management services to measure and continuously improve their safety culture, and also to gain insights on organizational safety culture and identify the areas of improvement and areas of excellence. And goals of the project. So we have open-ended questions. So we need to classify the open-ended questions by topic and category and the concern, and also discovering the sentiment around it. Workflow of the project. So first of all, we prepare the data based upon our requirement, and also exploratory and descriptive analytics, and topic analysis and sentiment analysis. So literature review. So in the literature review, we found that topic modeling and also using BERT transformers for sentiment analysis would be helpful for us, and let us discuss them. So topic modeling techniques. So LSA is one of the most popular topic modeling technique, and you can see that all the topic modeling techniques use dimension reduction. And let us see the flow of LSA. So LSA first converts the text corpus into document term matrix, and then it truncates that corpus into by using singular value decomposition, and then encodes and will get the extracted topics out of it. And let us discuss LDA. And LDA basically it's a probabilistic approach, and in this we have the text corpus, and from the document we get word topic assignment as well as the observed word frequency. So it's like we'll get topics as well as the frequencies of topics by document. This is the use of using LDA. Followed by NMF. NMF is also non-negative matrix factorization. So you have the documents and terms as the input, and which it decomposes it into documents versus topics, and also topics versus terms, which is a really helpful aspect for topic modeling. And followed by random projection. So random projection uses distance as a criteria to lower dimension the space, and you can use several distance calculations like Gaussian distribution, sparse matrix, and Johnson-Lindenstrauss lemma. Like it's up to you. It's like based on our requirement and based on our distance criteria, we use it accordingly. So these are the most important topic modeling techniques we have discovered. This will help us to clearly identify the topic which are collecting us. And we also found the advantages and disadvantages in the existing literature, so that this can be helpful for us how to work on our model in future. And word embedding clustering using word transformers. So first of all, the advantage of using transformers is it has multi-head attention. We can pass the words in a sentence simultaneously to get actual intention of the sentence. So first the transformer does pre-processing, followed by embedding extraction and clustering and generating the concept document matrix, and again following clustering based upon the topics. So this is how an entire transformer works. And the same can be used for sentiment analysis too. It's because since the use of, as I mentioned before, since it uses multi-head attention mechanism, it helps us to learn and the expression of the futures, which can easily be used for the distinction of the sentiment. And as I said that this project is still ongoing. So this is the preliminary analysis we have. So from the survey, from the open-ended questions, we can find that average length of the response is 22 words, and with the minimum response of 3 words and the maximum of 694 words. And the responders and the non-responders, the bar chart we can see, it's like we can almost see 12,000 responders, whereas 2,000 people didn't even respond for the survey. And frequency of the words based on correspondence answers, we can see most of the responses are fall under the words 20. So this will help us to identify the topic modeling techniques which can be used for short word text. So this helps us in that way. And also this is for the percentage of hierarchy based on responders and non-responders. So hierarchy is one of our column in the data. So it's like we need to identify which particular people are responding and to which particular hierarchy the security concern is more important. So also this preliminary analysis will help us to do so. Similarly, we have some organizations which have participated in the survey. So we can see their responders and non-responders percentage. And unigrams. So we want to find the particular topics which are like mostly highlighted by the people. So we conduct a unigram. So in that we can find safety, security, procedures as like the most interesting topics which are discussed by the opinions of the survey. Similarly, the word cloud for bigrams. I think safety, security, company, I believe, safety, culture, company, etc. You can find it from the bigrams picture. And also we are interested to find construct vocabulary with parts of speech tag. So for that, we have created a flowchart. So first we have dictionary, which has the survey of the responses, and we'll look for the word in the dictionary. And if that word is an object, we'll store that object and we'll ask the input. We'll take the input from the user, like what dictionary you want to build. Do you want to build a word with n-grams like unigrams, bigrams, trigrams, or else you want to build a dictionary of word plus stop words, or like you want to build an object plus POS tag, like combination of all of this. So this will actually help the industry or the company to get exactly what they want just by having input as a future. And yeah, these are the references that we have followed for our literature review. And
Thank you. Thank you, Ruthwik. Very interesting presentation. We have a few minutes for questions once again. So if you want to ask your questions to Professor Farhadloo or Ruthwik, then simply raise your hand using the tool in Microsoft Teams. I think I'm going to start with a question, Ruthwik. You may continue sharing your presentation. It's not a problem, really. My question is, you showed a work that is interested in analyzing survey responses, but could you clarify what the goal of the survey was and how do you intend to use the answers?
So basically, we want to extract the topics of the security concerns of the employees. So we want to identify the topic modeling. Basically, we want to extract the topics and the concerns of the safety aspect. So that is what we are looking for it. And also we want to analyze the survey responses, like let us say if they're mentioning about this particular aspect of safety, and we also looking to capture the intent of that. So whether it is a positive, like whether do they need to enhance it, or like whether they are lacking this particular aspect. So more of that, like that.
And what company are we talking about? Is it in chemistry, in transport?
So let me add to that. So the company, at this stage, I don't know whether I'm allowed to name the company, but the company is interested to understand the safety culture of an organization. So the surveyor wants to know what safety-related aspects the company required to do or needs to do. And the other question is what safety-related things the company should not do. So those are the two open-ended questions that they have in the survey, and we want to analyze each one in terms of what the participants think they should do for improving the safety and what they should not do to improve the safety.
Okay, I understand. So basically, they're asking their employees to pinpoint problems in safety and security within a company, and they expect their employees to provide constructive criticism about that.
Yes, and those employees are at different hierarchy of the organization, management, like directors and so on.
Okay, so I think it begs the question, why does the company rely on its employees to implement something that is critical? Why do they not just go on the floor and apply the safety procedures that are that must be implemented in their domain?
So that is a good question. The industry is a highly regulated industry in terms of safety. So there are those things, but this is basically the question of opinion mining. In the big era, big data era, people are expressing their opinion in multiple aspects, right? So if there are things that by mining the opinions of people, you can extract that may not be in those regulations or what the standards that the industry knows. So opinion mining will help you to discover new aspects from the user's perspective.
I see.
All right, so it's basically the user-centric approach to safety.
I understand. I think we have a question from Jianyun. Jianyun, you can ask a question.
Yeah, thank you. Just one clarification question about the volume of survey or feedback from the imagine the employees. How many do you have? Is it a huge amount that cannot be analyzed manually?
No, it's that is what they have been doing so far. They manually would do that, and no, it's impossible for them right now. A sample of the data set that they have given us has 15,000 respondents, and this is only for one of their clients. They do that for like multiple clients, and it's impossible for them to just do it on their own. So far, they have been going and reading them and then try to identify.
Mm-hmm. I see. Because usually when you try to collect the information from the employees, you will get a few, not a huge amount.
Yes, that's true.
But if you try to apply to different companies, I'm assuming that this is a service company that try to deal with the problem across different companies. That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Do we have additional remarks or questions? Oh, I see we have a question from Fabien. Fabien, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, I was just wondering what type of survey platform do you use to conduct the safety? Actually, I've had two questions, but this is my first.
That one, I don't know what survey what survey platform they are using. So they gave us the data and they provide us with the data, just Excel sheet of.
Okay, and it's just one question? They have like multiple questions.
So they have multiple questions in their survey, but they have two open-ended questions related to surveys. So they have other like survey items too.
And then my other question was just out of curiosity. Did you look at the document that was 694 tokens?
That is the next step that we are doing. Yeah, we will look
like,
into
so, like a lot of tokens. I was really curious about that.
So that is the next steps. So far we have been doing preliminary analysis to learn about the data set and find out the best techniques that we can use to address this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I just? Oh, Samuel is asking. So I'm just.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait. No. Go ahead.
Okay. Just wondering if you have already identified LDA or any topic model as appropriate for identifying different aspects about safety. So if you look at the technique, you will get whatever topics that you can get, not necessarily related to safety. So there could be some aspects to work further on top of topic models and just extracting topics from data, that may not give you the exact aspects that you want to extract. There may be a lot of noise topics that you will identify.
That's a valid point, and it's well documented in the literature that topic modeling is the benchmark model that we are going to try, and the shortcomings of that, especially for short documents, is known. So we are trying to see, for instance, if we can address those by aggregating using some NLP features that I think will help us to address some of the shortcomings of LDA.
Thanks. Samuel, tu peux poser ta question. Please unmute yourself.
I think I was unmuted and muted myself, sorry. So yeah, my question is really similar because I know from experience that data from surveys are quite sparse in nature. And I was wondering if you had some way of guaranteeing that what you're actually extracting is significant, or like it really is a pattern, a trend, or stuff like that.
No, we cannot guarantee that what we find is significant, but I think we can provide a reliable pipeline to make the user life a bit easier. We don't want to claim that we are gonna, for instance, you should not use the human anymore. Just use whatever we give you. But I want to make his or her life a bit easier in terms of providing some clues about the topics that they can go and sift through and find the right ones. So I think we are not at this stage to remove the human from the loop. I think we will keep that, but we want to make their life easier.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another question from Eric Velasquez.
Yes. So the very big question when we do topic modeling is how many topics do we compute, or how many of those we tell to the algorithm to find. Do you already have a strategy to determine the optimal number of topics that are humanly interpretable?
That is also a good question. What is well known in machine learning is that we are going to cross-validate the number of topics, right? It's like clustering, and then you want to find the number of clusters. We don't know that, but we are going to cross-validate them, and then by also in topic modeling literature, there are some new evaluation techniques for other than quantitative evaluation, like perplexity or those sort of thing. We are gonna look into them and use them in order to find the best evaluation models, not just quantitative, but some qualitative too.
Thank you. Yeah, evaluation is always a problem with topic modeling. Ruthwik, just a quick question. You mentioned LSA and LDA, classic topic modeling approaches. Have you looked into BERT topic? It's a topic modeling framework based on transformers, a bit like the one that you presented. It's pretty neat. Great. I'll just leave the link in the chat for those who are interested. It's a nice little package that we used recently in our lab.
Thank
and,
you. Thank you for recommending that.
Yeah, if you want to look into it.
Sure.
I think that we're going to thank our two presenters. It was a very engaging presentation on an important issue. And I think that we're going to move on now to our last presentation.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. So Now we have the pleasure of welcoming Tarik Qahawish. I'm very sorry, it's difficult to pronounce. Who's the CEO of the company Localyser, who's going to present a talk entitled Bootstrapping Your Way to an AI-powered software as a service application. So Tarik, if you want to share your screen first. Great, we see your screen. You're muted right now. And
yes, hello. Thank you so much for the invitation. Happy to be here. I feel like I have to preface by saying first that I feel like I'm in the company of giants when it comes to NLP and machine learning. I am not an engineer. I am not a programmer. I'm just an entrepreneur who have been building a SaaS product that in the space of called online reputation management. And online reputation management, for those that don't know, is the strategy of managing what people say about you, about your brand, across different review sites like Google Maps, Yelp, TripAdvisor, and so forth. So what I'm gonna talk to you today is simply my journey from the point of view of an entrepreneur that has bootstrapped our way into building a SaaS product. We are self-funded. We've been around for 5 years, and that's hence the terminology bootstrapping. With a self-funded platform, it presents with a lot of challenges, but which makes you want to be more creative to try to compete in the market. When we started in 2016, it was like an MVP, very crude solution that consolidates reviews into one platform and helps brands respond to reviews. Basically, that's what we started. And over the last few years, it evolved into more of a holistic approach to managing their online reputation, not just on reviews, but social media and customer feedback. And about a year ago, we decided to introduce more of an insights type of analysis that simply provides high-level topic analysis of what customers are saying about, let's say, a specific restaurant's reviews. And what I'm going to show you today is our journey in the last year of how we built that, the challenges that we faced, the pitfalls that we ran into, and where we're going with that. So a little bit about me. I started Localyser, as I said, a few years ago, basically as an online reputation management solution. I was an expat working in Dubai at the time, and found a need in the Middle East to launch something like this. I am, however, from Montreal originally, with my background in digital marketing. Worked at Air Canada and EMEA Loyalty, if some of you are familiar with, which is the Aeroplan group company. And the last 5 years, I've been building this automation tool, mainly focused on multi-location brands to help them manage their online reputation management. So what does our tool do specifically? We have about 75 different integrations with sites like Google, Instagram, Uber Eats, OpenTable, Deliveroo, Zomato, TripAdvisor, Yelp, and we pull reviews from all of these sites into one different dashboard in multiple languages. We recently also launched social media management, as well as customer feedback. So it's a predominantly an automation and marketing automation tool. Think of it as a social media engagement and monitoring tool, but for reviews and customer complaints and so forth, and customer feedback. So it's an automation tool where customer experience or customer support people would log in and they would receive all the reviews from different platforms, and they would respond to them, report on them, analyze them, that sort of thing. And the platform is broken into 4 sections. The first one, which is what we started with, which is the online reviews, and it just basically, like I mentioned, it just gathers, track, and allows you to reply to all the reviews from multiple platforms. Social media is another module that we introduced, which allows you to have a unified inbox for all of your social media accounts. So the way to think about this is, if you're a restaurant group that have 5 different concepts, that means you have 5 different Instagram pages, 5 different Facebook pages, Twitter pages, 5 probably WhatsApp business accounts, and on and on and on. We just unify everything in one place. Customer feedback is really a very simple survey that helps you generate basic feedback from customers, and also acts as a way to redirect users to leave you a positive review if they are happy. And the last piece is the reporting. And this is where we wanted to improve using some machine learning, NLP and AI and stuff. And we were really good at providing our customers with performance-based reporting, like how many reviews did you receive? What was the sentiment? And the sentiment, we got it from, star rating that was already there. So we didn't have to really analyze the text to get the sentiment, whether it's 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, or positive, like 4 or 5 star, all the way to, what is your response rate? How fast is your team responding? Where do you stand vis-a-vis your competition in terms of star rating and review count across, the different review platforms that your customers find you in? And what we found that we were lacking is the insights, like what's behind that review. And so a year ago, we embarked on trying to build something to answer that question, to provide our customers with very, very simple analysis of, here are the 3 areas that you're doing good, and here are the 2 areas that you're doing bad. Our ambition wasn't very sophisticated. We just wanted, we deal with operation managers, restaurant managers, store managers that just wanted a very simple analysis of what's going on in the stores. Our customers, our users are not data scientists, they're not CRM analysts, they're just operation people, marketing people that want to have basic analysis. So we wanted to go and embark on building something like this. These are some of the brands that we have. As you can see, that 80% of them are restaurants, but we do have like hospitals, gyms, investments, brokers, that sort of thing. So, and what our ambition is to find a way to automatically categorize review, text, and sentiment across multiple industries. So that was the ambition to start with. And doing some mock-ups and analysis of how we want it to look like, this is where we wanted it to look like. We wanted to have some sort of like a radar chart to show to our customers that, of course, anything in red is negative, anything in green is positive, is that immediately, like the restaurant manager will know that they have a problem with delivery and maybe their atmosphere. But when it comes to food, service, and price, they're not so bad. They're in the 75% positive percentage. Then we wanted to take it further. Under food, how many reviews are under food quality, positive or negative, food taste, food quantity, the delivery of the accuracy of the food, the speed of the delivery, the packaging, how is the packaging of the food within the restaurant environment, the dining is the service friendliness, the cleanliness of the restaurant, and the ambiance of the restaurant itself. So we showed all of this to our clients before we build it, and this is exactly what they wanted. they didn't want anything more to dig deeper into this, because right away they can now click through the reviews behind the food taste and read those reviews and try to understand what are the products that we had. They also requested one more thing, which is very, very simple to do, which is for them to the ability to upload their menu item, and we can come up with a word cloud to count, to show how many times the certain food items mentioned in the reviews appear, whether it's positive or negative. So that was something not so difficult for us to do, because we already had the sentiment here, and we just created this word cloud. So that was the vision. Of course, the reality is something different. To show you a live version of how it worked, and then I'll switch back into what we ended up with, what the reality that we ended up with is. This is a typical company. Reef has dozens and dozens of restaurants, as you can see here in terms of their brands, and they receive reviews from multiple review sites. You can see them here. So the tool itself aggregates all the reviews, whether it's positive, negative, and they can respond to it directly from here by just clicking the reply button and select the response template and respond to it. So as you can see, similar to what we saw before with the Keatext, we basically wanted to take this and have a model where it can automatically categorize the fact that this is food taste related, and maybe that there's portion related and so forth. So we just wanted to categorize this one into positive sentiment for food taste. Obviously, you can see multiple different reviews that have other categorization, like surveys, delivery, that sort of thing. Like this one, for example, I didn't get my order. So obviously this is food delivery delays. So as I mentioned before, we were really good in providing customers like these with performance-based reports. So this showed you your star rating across the entire brands, and it broke it down by platform. So this is Deliveroo. This is something big in the Middle East. Another one here, which is similar to Uber Eats, Zomato, so forth. So right away, the brand can see where they're doing good and where they're doing bad. So the Deliveroo and Zomato are the two platforms that are not doing good. It calculates the response rate, the response time. And as I mentioned, the sentiment analysis is very crude. We just took 4 or 5 stars and we said that this is a positive review. Negative review is 1 to 2 stars, and 3 stars is this. And then as our customers become more sophisticated and more look at the data and like, well, how many of those are truly positive reviews? Because somebody can say, I love the food, but the service was crap. And that's kind of slowly started forcing us to look at the possibility of using natural language processing. And we built a model that is dictionary based, worked with freelancers, some contractors, and this is what we actually came up with. It looked really good. Our customers were super happy. They can find immediately, in terms of delivery, 38% of the reviews that were categorized as delivery were positive, and 61 were negative, and so on. And then you can dig deeper into the different secondary categories. This is the word cloud that I was talking to you about. So you can tell right away that chicken is, people love chicken, but also people didn't like chicken either. So one of the challenges to these, like, how do we, can we go deeper into what kind of chicken? Is it the kind of, can we add a sandwich to it, or a meal item, or is it the way that people cooked it, or how the chicken was cooked or presented? So this is presented some challenges, because a word cloud like this, where you have chicken that is positive and also chicken that is negative, then doesn't really tell you much. And then, of course, this is just data presented over time to show you, the same data over time. Now, then the next phase of this was to click through. This one showed you that there are 7 reviews behind chicken, and the idea is just you click on the word chicken, and you actually will take you to this section, and will show you, highlight all of the reviews that mention the word chicken, or the food taste, or the speed of delivery, which kind of like now gets into the meat of the of what's behind that topic. So if you can imagine, we started with the review text, then we presented the performance reports, and then we went further into those categorization. And now the feedback from customers is like, well, we want to see what's behind those reviews. That was our intention to do it. And what we realized is that categorization is much easier than sentiment analysis. So we obviously compared the precision and recall for all of those categories, and we started realizing that there are some red areas. As you can see, that food taste precision was like 49%. Delivery accuracy precision was really bad, and so forth. So we were like, what's going on here? And the next phase is to present a review with the highlighted text of each category and sentiment, so that the customer can see can go from the insights report back into the review to see the actual highlighted text, to see, okay, this one is great quality, and it's food quality positive, burger was a bit cold, so food taste negative, and so forth. But because we saw all of those red areas, we actually paused launching this, and it became obvious that we might have something that is not perfect. And so what do we do about it? So now what do we do? So we decided to do 2 things. One is to improve the categorization, and we realized that we don't have the resources as a self-funded startup, nor do we have the expertise to actually do sentiment analysis. So we thought there's a lot of sentiment analysis tools out there, APIs. Why don't we just tap into that? It'll probably be a little bit more costly as we grow, because it's a paid fee, like you pay for it as you make requests, but that's the decision that we have. So basically, we pivoted the strategy, and we, in order to improve the categorization, the dictionary of that categorization, that was the easy part, is, well, let's just focus on restaurants. We were trying to focus on so many different sectors because we had ambition to expand beyond sectors. And we said, you know what, we kind of like the fact that we are in the very, like, a boutique type of online reputation management solution for the restaurant industry. Let's just kind of double down on it and focus on one sector at a time as we grew, because it didn't make sense to us, giving us our expertise and resource constraints. And so we built the NLP model for categorization only, not sentiment. And we built a much bigger, much larger training set. We went from hundreds to thousands. So that was using annotation tools that allowed us to have some customers go in and do the annotations themselves. So these are customers that's been with us for a very long time. So we leverage the wisdom of the crowd, if you will, to go in and as they to go and do the annotation for us. So that was like step one. And based on that, now we can build a much better categorization tool. The next thing is the sentiment analysis, and the solution to that was a lot easier than what I thought. And because we're using AWS, and we just used AWS Comprehend, which is a sentiment analysis tool. As I mentioned, it's you pay for it per request, but given where we are in our evolution of building an AI tool, it made sense to us to kind of just use that at this point and not build our own. Obviously, the vision is to leverage AI to expand into other sectors beyond restaurants, because we now that we have built an office in Montreal to use it as a springboard to expand into Canada, US, and beyond. And we need to expand into multiple sectors as well, like automation, hotels, health and wellness. These are the sectors that we find success with so far. And then the last piece is, what do we do with social media messages? This is kind of something that we're not going to touch at the moment, because with reviews, you get one message that you get from a customer, but with social media messages, it's a conversation that goes back and forth. So at the moment, we're just using tagging, but one question mark for us is, do we include all the text that we're now compiling with social media messages as well into this? So that's our journey. As I mentioned earlier, it's not. I wanted to share with you a different aspect of how startups would probably take to tap into AI and present something more of value add to our clients. So happy to take your questions. This is my contact details. Anybody that has any advice, help, support to help us along our journey to make our tool better, I'd be happy to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tarik. Very, very interesting. And concerning your remark, we're all students here. I mean, it's an ever-growing field with a lot of questions, so don't worry about it. So I see that we have a question from Professor Farhadloo. Just unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Thank you, Tarik, for letting us know what you have been doing in your startup. I want to know, who do you consider as your competitors? Do you have many? Do you have some? Do you have nothing? Or just wonder, who do you see as your competitors?
I mean, if you just Google the terminology online reputation management, you'll get hundreds of results in Google. But there are maybe, about 5 to 10 direct competitors globally. Most of them are in the US and Europe. And so this is from an marketing automation perspective. And they all have some sort of an insights tool that uses machine learning to analyze reviews in one way or another. And because we're a SaaS model and we focus on helping brands manage their online reputation, we are finding that as we start talking about the fact that we have our own insights analysis and AI tool, that we start running into other tools that do nothing but analysis all the way from the big guys like Medallia to Power BI, all of these things. So it really depends on who you ask, but from a marketing automation tool, there's several. Happy to give you their name if you're interested. But if you just Google online reputation management, you'll find things like review trackers. That's the main one, and reputation.com is another one that come to mind.
Thank you, Tarik. Thank you, Mohsen, for your question. Fabien, just unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Yeah, so I had two questions. So the first one is, if I understood correctly, you use crowd wisdom to get your training set for categorization, right? So how do you ensure inter-annotator agreement so that you're sure that you have quality data?
So first of all, we do it in two ways. One is we only allow, we only recruit clients that are in our customer advisory board. So these are clients that that we meet, once a year, twice a year, and they share with us they're passionate about our tool. They've been with us for a very long time, and they're like power users of Localyser. So they're kind of like in our customer advisory board. We train them. We tell them exactly what we're looking for. And what we found is that they're the operators of their business. And a lot of times they have been doing this manually. They've been categorizing reviews manually. So that's the idea that came up with it, is that it started with a few clients that showed us the reports where they export the reviews from our dashboard, and then they categorize it manually into Excel, and they create like a chart. So they've been doing it themselves better than us. And we just gave them a tool to just kind of like highlight and categorize it. The second thing that we do is, we have a quality assurance team that will look into it and just spot checks. But so far, we've been impressed with, they've been doing it better than us because they know their business really well.
So thank you. And my second question is that what do you think is because I understood that you had many competitors. So what do you think is your main competitive advantage? And so why is the Localyser different?
It's as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is that I started Localyser when I was based as an expat in Dubai, and in the Middle East until today, there's no one doing online reputation management. But I have a background in user experience when I was working at Air Canada, so I was very strict, very focused on building a very easy to use tool, because one, in the Middle East, it's they're not used to using automation tool, and then you add to it an industry like restaurants, where somebody who's a restaurant manager but not used to using tools, they needed something to be very easy to use, and that forced us to build something that is very easy to use, as I can maybe showed you a little bit in the demo. And then when we expanded into North America a couple of years ago, we realized that this was actually an advantage. When we were doing demos with the potential customers that are using one of our competitors, and they told us that they really thought that our interface was a lot user friendly. It wasn't really. I was surprised by it, because you look at your competitors and you think that from outside they're amazing, and you look up to them, but then you realize that you have maybe one advantage or another. So that was one that surprised me personally. Second is because of our focus on restaurants, the integration that we've built to extract reviews is our own proprietary system that we built. So it was super focused on review sites that are specifically for the restaurant industry. So we got into food delivery apps like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Skip the Dishes, Grubhub, Deliveroo, as you can see, Zomato, and then there are maybe 15 delivery apps in the Middle East, and then another 10 in Eastern Europe that we also integrate with. So we have like maybe 75 different review sites that we integrate with. And every time we go into a restaurant group, it's an obvious competitive advantage that we have that our competitors don't have, because our competitors are like multi-sector, you know, any industry can go in. So I would say these are the two. The third one is that we're not a 100% self-serve model where you can go in and set up a free trial and off you go, because it requires a lot of setup and a lot of integration, connecting all different accounts and making sure that you have the right profile links. So we handhold our customers to set up their account and make sure that they're up and going, and they tend to like that, especially in non-tech savvy industry like the restaurant industry. They've come a long way, restaurants, after COVID, because of they had to move their business online. But I think these are our three competitive advantage.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question and also for your answer, Tarik. In customer reviews, there is a task in natural language processing which aims at predicting the helpfulness of a comment or a user, so that bad users are penalized and users that are influencers or very interesting users are promoted within a platform. Is this something that Localyser is interested in, or is it purely an academic task?
So influencer marketing has started to show interest from our clients when we introduced social media management, because they started getting inquiries from influencers to promote their restaurants here and there. And then we started thinking about what is the value of one review versus another. And it's an interesting topic, and I think there is a lot there to do. There's a lot that you could do. For example, with if you have an open public profile on Google Maps, for example, you can actually find where that person reviewed, what other restaurants they reviewed or other establishments, what loyalty points they've accumulated using Google Maps, and so on and so on. Other review sites do that. And then you can, because we've accumulated so many different reviews from different restaurants, and we have, so many restaurants that are using our tool, we're beginning to realize that we have our own proprietary data where we can see one reviewer reviewing multiple restaurants within our system, compared, not even outside of Google or other platforms. So we have the data actually to kind of put together a profile, but we haven't gotten to a point where, to decide how we're going to do it. Should we do it? Is this our data? Is this whose data is this? So we haven't really gotten to that at this point, but there's so many different things. We're also looked at, maybe should we bring in weather data, demographical data, household income, all of these things. All of this is very interesting. But at the end of the day, we are led by our customers and the features that they're looking for. And we will probably mature the platform as our customers mature, as they start thinking about these things. Our our target audience is middle-sized businesses, so not the small ones that have 1 or 2 locations, and not the big ones that have hundreds and hundreds of locations. We're like the mid-size, and I suspect if we have a customer like McDonald's, then we definitely they will force us to build something like this. But our customers are, usually typically have, 15 to 25 different locations and they're probably not as sophisticated to look at something like this. But I'm pretty sure that that they're getting there, and we want to provide them with the same powerful tool as somebody like McDonald's would use. And but I think we'll get there at some point.
Thank you. It's interesting to learn that it's not just not a problem that we in the academia tackle, but that it's also interesting to the industry. So with that, thank you, Tarik. And I think that we're going to conclude. So we thank our 5 presenters today, and it was really a pleasure to welcome you all. As always, I thank my collaborators, Mariam, Vanessa, Fabien Ngô, who's in the chat. It's always very interesting to be able to collaborate with them. A recording of the event will appear on CLIQ-ai's website. So if you want to rewatch some of the presentations, it's going to be there for you. I thank everyone for attending this meetup. I hope you enjoyed the presentations for today, but also for this year, because it's the last one. And stay tuned for more news. And in the meantime, well, have a pleasant holidays and a nice weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.